to explain to you.
Understood.
So to change that, we have to actively say, well, this is actually bad.
So offer a solution on where to post things. For a solution on where to post things. You're the computer guy.
Okay, I'll come back with a list of actual suggestions next
Thank
time,
you.
and then we can go through them.
Okay.
I think that might actually be it. Oh, no, the change to busking earlier, this is the public comment, last thing, actually, I promise, the $50 a week. Jeff had to ask like 3 different ways to get it confirmed that this was in fact a Parks Commission decision and action and responsibility. And so where I'm going with this is I know it is a city council ordinance, but until I think at the same exact time that you added this 72-hour or 3 business day requirement, and Parks agenda item submission, it was also changed. So just to be 100% clear, did the City Council request, advise, or ask for it to be $25 a week, or was that entirely a Parks thing?
There was no request by the City Council.
Okay. So why was that implemented? There hasn't been a fee for busking in the past 30 years. Why is there now?
As a permit fee, as part of the ordinance with the requirement for the Parks Commission to approve those, we implemented a fee.
But hasn't that ordinance existed for a significant amount of time?
But we changed, I mean, in the sports permit, we added a tournament. I mean, things change.
Well, I mean, that's the other thing. You asked me
Things
what should be, your website, we just watched, Scott Moran?
Or Jeff.
Jeff.
Jeff Tomiano. Yeah.
We just watched Jeff do a presentation on how easy it is to do the baseball process. You go to the website, you click here, you do here. The Parks and Rec has a really good, here's our policies, where it's got a lot of good stuff for special vendors, and you've been adding stuff for them. Special events, not vendors. But vendors, if you go there, there is absolutely nil other than the vendor application. You guys could have a frequently asked questions, you could have policies, you could tell people in advance that they might be charged $50 a week for probation once they start making money or if anyone complains. You've got a place to put all of this information. It just doesn't exist, and the only way we've actually gotten this information seems to be in the form of being told it is now more expensive and more difficult, and here's the information. And when I say we, I really mean Jeff.
Again, extremely valid point. You are very good with the written word. Why not come back with, hey, Commission, here's some frequently asked questions. Would you mind putting this on the website? Why not?
Because you guys have been ignoring Jeff with that for years. But
Again,
we'll come back next time with actual instruction, with actual requests.
recommendations, yes.
And if I may, just, as a point of clarification, I certainly, at least, I don't feel like I've ignored Jeff. I certainly, and I my fellow commissioners as well, a lot of us are new, so some of it too is, we're volunteers, we're sort of doing our best here. None of us are certainly experts on this.
So I don't know.
But I do appreciate, David, the input, because I agree with you, you're pointing out stuff that frankly I do in a lot of my work too, where, hey, we need to clarify a process, or we need to, add an FAQ, or try and make this easier. So I think that, as my, fellow commissioner said, that, certainly, we're, at least I feel like, we are open to the feedback on this, because if we can make the process easier for people, I'm all for it, because that ideally also makes it easier for the park staff and for the commissioners, so we can all kind of hopefully get more done. So, at least from my end, I certainly look forward to seeing any recommendations that you have in terms of ways to improve upon the process. I think that at least for some of this, as was also mentioned, some of these may change, and I think that, tonight it was great. We had a full room, we ran out of chairs. I would love to see that every time we meet.
That's why I've been trying to make this entertaining.
But as far as that goes, there's certainly a factor of, when, tonight it is somewhat disheartening when people are complaining about changes in fees or increases in fees. If I remember correctly, I think a lot of those fees hadn't increased since 2017. And if I may, just for that, we had a meeting in December and no one.
There
no
were
one-
3 people there.
Yeah, I mean, which is, it's frustrating, hey, we're doing our best, no one showed up, and then everyone shows up afterwards to complain.
So
which,
that's the
which I
other-
think too, again, as mentioned earlier in the meeting, I think we're open to input and revising things if we get feedback.
So you should be more than open to input and encourage and input. So, when you guys ask for, there's a publicized amount of days when you're renaming a park or whatever. But, there's this mandatory meeting and then the next mandatory, the February one, that frankly, having mandatory meetings that people could have received in an email is a whole different thing. But where I'm going with this is, you could publicize if you care about this, if you want to be involved in this, if you want to have a say in this, show up at this meeting. I was at that meeting and I had the agenda in front of me and I wasn't even 100% sure that that's what was about. Like, I watched you guys vote on that, realized it was about to get more prohibitive and didn't even, in fact, I think, anyways, people don't know about that. And you guys publicize other things, you guys mandate other things. If you actually wanted it to be a more community-involved process, that wouldn't be that hard to do. So I guess that's where I should leave it as far as recommendations is these things that are important for the constituents that affect all of them. I would like for this to be publicized in advance. You should let everyone know if you care about special event fees, if you care about vending, if you care about busking, come in December. You let everyone know to come today and come next time for their specific sports things. We could do the same thing here.
A lot of the people here are on, because they had permits last year, so they get the mailing list. But the reason why Rob does this, as crazy as it sounds, because we have a certain, I didn't get the email. Well,
I know.
That's all, unfortunately, we have to do this, have an extra 2 meetings, but, I didn't get the email. That's the famous.
But you don't. If it's written, you can make people sign contracts and then enforce it. I understand that people don't actually read it and then they're still upset with you when you say, well, I wrote it here. But having a mandatory meeting, let me put it this way. You have mandatory meetings to talk to them, but they came here to be heard and they don't know that process. No one knows when, and that's what I'm trying to say, is if everyone knew, if you want something to change in the Parks Department, here's how to do it, like Mr. Kilbrew was trying to make happen, then more people would do it. But no, they came here because they had to come. They said, well, I want to talk about these things, and they were told they can't tonight because it wasn't on the agenda, which I understand they can't, but they're coming here because they have to, and they don't have time to come back. They don't want to really have to come back to do it. They just want you guys to design it in a way that actually makes sense for them to use it, rather than in a way that makes it easy for you guys to run it.
Okay.
Thank you for your time tonight. I'm gonna get do you have anything else? Yeah, one sec.
No, the funny thing, the last thing is, and as I'm through this Worcester Renaissance project, is I am suggesting some remedies to the challenges that that I've experienced, and I know that I'm not the only one. The reason why we had the special event, community input session in November, as well as the survey that went out earlier this summer, was because of some of the awareness I had been bringing at City Hall through the Cultural Development Department. So I'm looking to collaborate with the Parks Department on how to actually simplify some of the application process to become a street vendor, to become a street performer, to look at some of these rules and regulations that make it prohibitive, as has been not only my experience, but the reason why we don't get a lot of attendance and participation in some of these processes. So looking for, again, I'll leave it at that. If I can be placed on, make another request to be on the next agenda, and I'll look at some more of these questions that I have here to ask, and maybe that will give you more time to be able to give answers, have them in hand before the meeting, and we maybe move it along a little bit fast, move the meeting along faster. And some other things came out tonight, and that David suggested as far as some of the processes too. So, and the other thing is, I'd be willing to show you the email where it says here, that the email in question. So, thank you again for your time.